Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Chai Time. I'm your host, Alina, and today I'm here with really special people. Everybody, please welcome Adnan. Adnan is the CEO of our company, OpusAI. Adnan, how are you doing today?
I'm doing really well. How are you doing?
I'm doing really great. And how was your week?
The week was good. Something unexpected, something good, but generally, that's part of running a company.
Yeah, true, understandable. And we also have a guest speaker today. Everybody, please welcome Hamad Ijaz Parekh. Hamad, can you please introduce yourself for our audience, everybody who is listening to us right now?
Hello everyone, this is Hamad Jas Parekh and I am an instructor, I'm a researcher, and I also study at graduate level in South Carolina, Clemson. So, yeah, looking forward to a good conversation.
Yeah. We will be speaking to him in the creator segment. Until then, let's dive right into today's episode. So, the topic that we have today is related to AI and architecture. And today is the first episode of the series. We will be having more episodes on this series. And today, the topic is AI versus architect. Who will design the future? So it's a very interesting topic. I hope everybody likes it and everybody's gonna tune into today's episode and see that we have really interesting questions for you guys as well. So Adnan, can you tell me how do you think human architects and AI both can complement each other, in the design process especially?
Uh, Architecture. How can human architects? Um, the topic is very interesting. And I'm definitely older than both of you, likely. And I know that architecture was actually one of the first field in which computers were um, the computer went mainstream, right? So way before anything else, um, architects or draftsmen, they were the first one who get to use computers way before everyone. And it was an interesting time, um, especially how people reacted initially um, to moving from pen and paper to a digital medium, right? And I remember the first version of AutoCAD and other software that came out, and competing with each other to take over the field. But it was the reason I bring in, it was interesting because um, there was very little resistance to than what you would expect. um, Architects were actually very welcoming to the digital medium. They started learning and adopting the digital medium way more easy than any other medium, right? Like, I mean, we already see this. We see pretty much in any medium where start digitalization start happening. There's the initial, there's this growth curve, right? And in the growth curve, there's a part where people resist, then they uh, kind of slowly become accepting, and then eventually it goes mainstream. Architects were literally it directly went mainstream. There was no resistance at all. Now, the reason I bring it up is that I expect um, that a lot of architects are already using augmenting what they're doing using whatever they can get, including AI, and which means that it's gonna be in my I guess like prophecy or projection, it's gonna be a very smooth um, adoption. Architecture is hard. Designing building is even harder, and people in that field like all the tools, all the software they can get, including artificial intelligence. Even before artificial intelligence was called artificial intelligence, so I don't expect any too much problem there. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think so they can sort of complement each other well when it comes to design process and everything. But what do you think are the unique elements that human architects have that AI cannot replace, like in
AI.
sort of
So,
designing?
so
Yeah.
let me make my stance very clear, right? If we're thinking that AI is somehow going to replace architects, it's not going to happen for
Okay.
various reasons, right? And if anybody thinks that AI is going to quickly sweep the field and human architects are going to disappear, I wouldn't even right now. I wouldn't even bother thinking about it. But even in 10 to 20 years, I don't think there is any possibility of that happening. Designing houses, buildings is very, very, very hard. It's not easy, um, and definitely way difficult than writing some text and getting an image out. But also, it's very human centric, right? So it's not gonna be something that AI human are competing. AI is not even gonna get close to competing, but it can definitely help the human architects and craftsmen do what they need to do. So
Yes.
that's where it is. Like there is no battle that's gonna happen there. In my how I see the future.
Yeah, and as we can see, it can't replace it. But what do you think sort of influence AI might have on architectural designs in the future? That is something you can think like there would be some sort of impact in there.
Um, so I would hope that um, we'll see a lot more originality, a lot more creativity. Um, um, I can't be too sure, right? Because architecture, I know that it's hard, but it's also become harder because of um, a lot of regulation, a lot of um, I would say building codes, both due to government and due to other organization. Um, so we see um, innovation happening in that field, but it's usually very slow paced. And when it does happen, um, it's in a very simple. It's not horizontal, as in it doesn't sweep the entire field. It usually happens in a very vertical field. And the reason I bring it up is that, yes, you're going to hear about, let's say, 3D printing houses, but it's only going to happen for, let's say, single story houses, which are below a certain size and in a specific state or county or etc., right? Which is willing to experiment a little bit because they don't, let's say, um, um, see as many earthquakes or other natural disaster happening, right? So that's a normal thing that happens. um, and similarly, when we talk about how AI is going to change that field or sweep that field, I think it's going to be similar. We're going to see changes happen, but we're going to see happen in very vertical fashion, right? Definitely I expect that AI is going to help make buildings a lot more safer, um, and that's likely already happening. It's gonna help. So one of the biggest problem in design is budget um, to um, what you want to build ratio, right? How much money do you have and what do you want to build, and you have to make a compromise slightly in the middle, because let's say you want to build a 10-story building that can occupy, I don't know, 100 people, and you have a budget of, let's say, $20 million, right? And you're gonna end up making some kind of compromise in the middle, where you say, okay, I'm gonna do this much first, and then then I'll see, right? Because I don't have enough money or enough time. So um, uh, I am projecting that AI is gonna help that balance shift slightly towards what you want to achieve, um, and make it more achievable, right? And the reason I say that is that most of the cost is driven in the planning to initial surveys and approval phases. And if we can accelerate a lot of that, in which AI can be very helpful. It can be a lot cheaper for potential builders to build what they need to build or what they want to build in a reasonable enough budget and time.
Yeah. Do you think that AI, with the use of AI, there's less time being consumed in, mapping and doing all sorts of estimations and those sort of things? Because with AI, I think so it's very accurate when it comes to these sort of things, and giving you a demonstration or some sort of
I
overview
wouldn't
that.
say accurate, right? So accuracy
Okay.
in building construction estimation is a relative term, but AI is not known to be accurate, right?
Okay.
But what it can do is give a ballpark figure much faster, which
Okay.
helps human estimators get to the much closer to what they need to, right? And of course, catch obvious blunders that sometime when you're copy pasting or like trying to start from or leveraging the existing estimation. So that's where AI can help a lot. Accuracy, definitely, I wouldn't rely on that. Humans have to do the final figure, and that's like not even something that we can argue about, because that's in building industry. Each single thing that you see has to be signed off by a human, right? So that's like
Yeah.
a um, governmental requirement, or more like so you can't avoid it no matter how many tools. And that has been true throughout the history of architecture, because when thing goes bad, you want some person to be responsible. You can't blame it on the tools.
Yeah, true. And as we can see that in any field we encounter problems and that sort of thing people can get stuck at. With architects, do you think AI can assist in countering those problems and maybe just helping in some sort of way? Or if they can, how do you think that would happen?
So we talked about estimation. I'm not sure if I'm getting the question right, but you're probably my guess is you're referring to um, the realistic problem that architects face, and how can AI help there? Is that,
Yes,
am I getting it
yes,
right?
yes.
So, realistic problems, most of the people, when they think about architect, they can think of the fancy drawings that you see at the end, and contractors building it. Those are the simple parts of the entire phase, right? Before that, there has to be an estimation, there has to be a quotation phase, and of course, you have to source material from local or close enough, local source in order to drive down costs, right? All of these things require a lot of manual labor on the human end, and that's where I think AI can help a lot, coming up with a realistic, or more like close to realistic estimation in a very quick time. So the estimators can then finish it off. um, of course, idealistically, I would say, like, at some point AI will reach where it can design the entire house, estimate it, test it, and submit it for approval, all that stuff, right? And part of that is something that we at Opus are working on, which is the design and um, testing part. But I think estimation and all that is still open field. All of that is something that can be helped, and I would project a future in which humans are more like the um, stewards of the field, and AI is doing most of the work, and humans are just verifying and signing off based on based on that.
Yeah. And a lot of the times when we, think about architecture, we think about these historical buildings, we think about all of these culturally significant buildings. So, do you think that social and cultural factors really impact architecture and design? And if they do, then how do you think AI can help in integrating both of these in the design process? Like, if you're building something for a specific place, then how do you think AI can help you, gather some sort of data relating to it and create a certain design that is very much, socially and culturally very significant?
So that's an interesting question, and I call it interesting is because Uh, let's see, right? I'm an immigrant, and I've lived in like several countries where which original culture or like the settler culture is very different from where I'm originally from. Right, I'm from Pakistan, which is like South Asian culture, and South Asian culture is very diverse on its own. Right, it's not
Yeah.
a uniform culture; it's a very diverse culture, um, and people who live there are a lot more familiar with the diversity of it. But then you move to a different country, let's say to a Western country, and you realize how um, much the culture can affect what you construct, right? Um, and you'd find certain things there, and I would refer to a simple thing, right? Let's say, South Asian food is like delicious and all that, but it also has a lot of spice and a lot of strong smells, right? And typical Western houses are not equipped to properly ventilate that. And recently it has started to improve somewhat, but in most cases, if you are in a Western, like this open style kitchen and you're cooking something, the entire house is going to smell of that specific food, right? So
Yeah.
then that's a normal thing, and um, um, uh, and the reason I bring this up is how um, um, such a simple thing can be looked over because Western food mostly, does not contain such strong spices. Some cultures, some subcultures do, but most of it is, taken for granted. Pizza or pasta or any such thing. They don't have that strong spices, right? But you make chicken kadai in a kitchen, and you suddenly realize that the entire house is uh,
Yeah.
yeah and you're so you need stronger exhaust and a lot more thinking through that how to not um, how to take care of that, right? A simple problem, right? And similarly, like some cultures prefer that when you enter a house you take off your shoes, and most houses, in Western houses, that's not really a thing that or traditional Western houses, at least that's not a thing that they do, right? So it's not designed to accommodate such an area or such a workflow. And um, the reason I got into these two, very concrete cases that you would see often is I think AI can really play an interesting role there to um, hyper customize houses based on um, um, who's gonna inhibit them, right? To kind of like accommodate um, um, different culture or different requirement or different needs that are very super personalized to a culture or to even to a family, um, which can lead to a lot more um, so and house is something that becomes a home when you feel that you live there, right? Otherwise you can live in a place for years and never feel never think of it as home. And it happens to a lot of people, us, who move here, and they kind of don't feel that feeling there. Whenever they say home, they're usually just talking to their home back there, right? So these are things that I think can really help create that feeling and alleviate a lot of these requirements that are not addressed.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. I think so. AI can really integrate those things and kind of give you that personalized sort of thing, even when it comes to architecture. And thank you so much, Adnan, for your insightful answers. And I'll be moving to our creator segment. Hello, Hamad. How are you doing today?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. How was your week so far?
It was amazing. Uh,
Okay.
things have been good. So yeah.
That's a good thing. So, talking about today's topic, what sort of role do you think architects can play when it comes to guiding AI or working with AI to produce some sort of better designs?
So I feel that architects can extract the goals and define the constraints of a design project in a way that AI can actually understand and incorporate. The fact that AI may excel at generating designs based out of data driven parameters, but again, architects are the ones who actually provide insights into the human behaviors. So, for example, let's say an architect is supposed to design an elementary school, and he comes up with an idea of having 15 classrooms accommodating 25 students. But this is like simple work that AI can work it out. But at the end of the day, it is the architect himself who can go on to further say that the classrooms should be flexible. Let's say I want to teach uh, physics, and then right after that I want to teach art in that same particular class. So there could be modifications made to the particular design, and that is where actually the architect tells AI how things can be manipulated around. So yeah,
Yeah, I think so too. I think when it comes to that sort of creative element, AI cannot have that sort of good. What can you say? It can have data, I believe, but it can't have that sort of insight that
absolutely.
it can bring.
At the end of the day, it's just the fact that I mean it's a model that is based out of data and who's providing data to them. I mean like to that one particular machine. It's the humans at
Yeah.
the back end. So yeah.
Yeah, and talking about traditional sort of designs, what sort of help can AI bring in when architects are trying to push the boundaries of traditional designs and architecture? Do you think AI can help in that?
I think, yeah, I mean, there are AI algorithms like, for example, generative adversarial networks, more commonly known as GANs, and they push the boundaries of traditional architecture. They actually analyze vast data sets of existing designs, and they, bring out unexpected design concepts.
Yeah,
So the whole point of it is that this particular symbiosis between human creativity and machine intelligence actually opens up new frontiers in architectural aesthetics. And this allows
yeah,
for creation of structures that are both unique and functional. So like AI can actually suggest organic forms inspired by nature,
yeah,
leading to biomimetic designs that are actually sustainable and also visually pleasing.
yeah. I think so too. And let's say that we rely too much on AI when it comes to architectural design. Do you think there would be risk if we do that, or do you think we can actually rely on AI for such a thing?
I mean, I strongly feel that the potential risks are quite high. So, for example, the major upfront risk is the fact that there is a loss of human creativity and judgment, right? AI
Yeah,
can optimize designs as much as you like, but the fact that uniqueness lies in the human creativity, the human touch, which can, carve off intricate details to your designing process, and that will always forever I think would be missed out upon if you get too much relied upon it. Moreover, there's one big concern, I'm sure like we're quite aware of it, is the ethical and social implications. So like AI algorithms actually perpetuate biases,
yeah,
and I mean it's a concern. So like it should be emphasized the importance of architects in ensuring that AI driven design solutions are ethical and socially responsible. And lastly, I feel that there is dependency on data quality, right?
yeah,
AI heavily relies on data for training its model.
yeah,
So poor quality data can eventually, lead to some sort of disruption in the near future. So again, there is a use and there is an abuse. Use it wisely, it's good for you. If you don't, somewhere or the other, you might face backlash of it.
yeah, yeah. That's so true. And thank you so much for your opinions and your insightful answers. And before we wrap up, Adnan, do you have any key takeaways that you would like to share?
I mean, architecture, and we're going to be talking a lot about architecture, right? And it's something that I think um, it is a field primed to be revolutionized, or and we don't know how it's going to play out. And I projected a future in which AI is doing most of the work and humans are signing off. But my hope is that we see a lot more creativity, ingenuity, and that's something that um, bothers me, is that in the last 20 to 30 years, architectures have actually become boring, right? Designs are very safe, uh, and there is no originality left in it. All houses look the same. In fact, they look worse than the houses that were made, let's say, 30, 40 years ago, right? And My hope is that it's gonna be for the better, right? As in, we're gonna see a lot more originality, a lot more creativity, because humans no longer have to, or don't have to do as much boring, repetitive stuff. We'll see how it plays out, but we'll try to paint a future what we believe needs to happen, and we'll make the case why we think it needs to happen. And yeah,
Yeah. And Hamad, what do you think? Any key takeaways that you would like to share about today's topic or our discussion today?
My whole stance, like, has always been firm on the fact that, again, there is a particular use, there is a particular abuse. You know, generally as humans, we tend to get so much into one particular thing that we forget that there are boundaries associated to it. You know, and again, there have to be organizations that restrict or emphasize upon those particular boundaries so that it is used safely for everyone around.
Yeah.
You know, so again, this is a small piece I feel that should be emphasized upon. The beauty of this particular technology is vast
Yeah.
if it's used wisely. So yeah.
I think so too. I think so that if you use AI in a very, good sort of manner, I think so it can be very beneficial to you or to in a lot of fields as well. So yeah, I
Absolutely.
think we have a chat as well. Somebody is asking questions, I believe. Um, and then we want to answer it. I don't understand the question. I think somebody just made a comment, I believe.
I think it's a comment, and
Yeah.
it's an interesting comment, right? So yeah, and again, there's a lot of warning and a lot of dystopian tales, especially from sci-fi, and we should be very not to um, not to step into those plots. I would say, but um, still, like, yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
So, as our episode comes to an end today, thank you so much, both of you guys, for joining in. We had a really good and very interesting discussion. And anybody who wants to listen to our podcast, they can look at up our YouTube channel. They can go through our socials, and they can tune in. And other than that, make sure you guys check out our Opus website. And if you're a student, if you're looking for some sort of profession, anything, you can just go to our careers page and you can just sign up there as well. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you so much, Hamad. Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Adnan. And we will be wrapping up today's episode. Bye bye, everybody.
Thank you. Bye. Take
Bye.
care.